folks. I'm Michael Goldstein. I'm the State of Ohio Director for the organization known as Proclaiming Justice to the Nations. PJTN, found at pjtn.org on the web, is an evangelical Christian organization, and our mission statement is to educate Christians as to their biblical duty to defend and support the State of Israel and the Jewish people. And we do this in a number of ways at PJTN. First and foremost, we have 47 documentary videos on the market, all dealing with the juxtapositions of Israel, Judaism, and Christianity, and how it works. And you may or may not have heard of the BDS movement, the economic warfare movement, international movement to delegitimize and get rid of Israel, and I'll talk about that in some detail in a few minutes. But our latest video documentary in BDS, the B stands for boycott, to boycott all Israeli manufactured goods, and those of manufacturers in other countries that do business with Israel. For instance, the American companies, there are a lot of American companies that do business with Israel, Caterpillar Tractor, for instance, a bunch of defense contractors. The boycott, divest, and sanctions movement wants to you to boycott their goods as well. But the latest video we have out is called Boycott This, and it's narrated by a stand-up comedian that I've listened to for several years. His name is Brad Stein, S-T-I-N-E, and he is a stand-up Christian comedian. He's very enthusiastic, he's very funny, and he narrates this video, which is a very serious video, but he makes it a little lighthearted and brings everybody along. So, at any rate, we have 47 videos, and you can find them in the store at pjtn.com, or contact us, and we will be happy to do a screening at your church or your group of our new video. But some of the things we do are those videos. PJTN is headquartered in Franklin, Tennessee, and they started off by reviewing the textbooks in Tennessee, K through 12 textbooks, and finding the un-American non-factual material in them, the type of material where they'll give you 16 pages on Islam and 2 paragraphs on Christianity and 2 sentences about Judaism. And they went through the textbooks there, and they managed to get the State Board of Education to delete from their program a whole bunch of textbooks. They had a lot of good success in Tennessee. And one of the things we're going to be doing is that same thing in Ohio. And at some point, I'll be talking to most of you and asking for your help in doing that review. One of the other things we do is we support and educate our legislators in the Ohio General Assembly, the Ohio House of Representatives, the Ohio Senate, on certain issues. And they now have a resolution in the Ohio House. It's House Concurrent Resolution 10. Its sponsors, co-sponsors in the Ohio House are Representative Andy Thompson from Marietta and Dave Greenspan from Westlake, Ohio. And they have, I believe, 28 co-sponsors. And that's not a bad start because we only have 99 representatives. So a lot of them are signed on, and more will sign on when they're allowed to again. This resolution is very important. As you may or may not know, there is a tremendous amount of anti-Semitism on our college campuses. Much of it supported by or initiated by the BDS movement on campus. Student groups, which are real student groups, getting their funds from the Student Activities Fund in part, the Students for Justice in Palestine, the Muslim Students Association. There are 20 different names of these organizations, but they're all doing basically the same thing. They say they're trying to use economic warfare to coerce Israel into giving a better deal to the Palestinian people. That's not their object. As their leaders have told us, their object is to get rid of the State of Israel in its entirety and they don't care what happens to the 6 million or 8 million Jews and Christians they drive into the sea. By the way, only about 80% of Israel is Jewish, and the other 20% is Muslim and Christian. Israel is the only state in the Middle East where Christianity is growing because Christians are being killed in other states in the Middle East. So the Christians are flocking to Israel because it's a safe place for them. So this bill has this resolution, HCR 10, has 3 parts. The first part is saying that we as Ohio, support the state of Israel, its right to exist, its right to self-determination within its own borders, its right to legitimate acts of self-defense, all of which the BDS movement opposes. They would like Israel not to be able to defend itself. They would be very happy to make Israel disappear. So, the second part of the bill of the resolution is making Jewish students safe on campus. They are being attacked by these Muslim associations, physically intimidated. Their events are being shut down by intimidation, by loud noises, by chanting, by rioting, and in some cases, nationally certainly, the school administrations, which are supported by the state, the tax dollars, and your tuition dollars as parents and grandparents, they are colluding with the Muslim student associations to shut down Jewish groups. Jews are being chased around campuses, physically intimidated, and we're trying to make sure it is happening in Ohio now. We want to make sure it doesn't get bigger, that it in fact gets smaller. There has been a lawsuit filed against San Francisco State University in California, a federal lawsuit under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, because the university was creating a lot of anti-Semitism and assisting the Muslim groups in shutting down Jewish events. There's a 76-page complaint, I believe, and you can find it online. If you go to PJTN, I believe we'll put it up on the website. I don't think it's there yet, but it reads like something out of Germany in the 1930s. We don't want that to happen in Ohio. There are groups that have done the statistical studies nationally. One of them is called AMCHA, A-M-C-H-A, the AMCHA Initiative, and if you find them online and look at there are 2 of their reports. One is Anti-Semitism on Campus, which gives you broad statistics, tells you which are the worst perpetrators of this, which universities. Here in Ohio, the Ohio State University fares very badly. There's a lot of anti-Semitism there. You'll also see plenty of it listed under Oberlin College. But if you go to their other publication called their Anti-Semitism Tracker, you'll see a map of the United States. You can click on whatever state you want to look at, and you will find a list of universities and every anti-Semitic incident that has happened on that campus between 2015 and the present. And they update it, I believe, every month. So every month you can go back. And if you start, it's a real page turner, and it will make you sick when you turn the pages. There's one other report I would like to talk about very briefly. It is called the Canary Mission Cleveland Project. If you go to canarymission.org/Cleveland, you will find a report about anti-Semitism on college campuses in Northeast Ohio. It came out in April 2017, so it's pretty new. What these people did was track the social media posts of 20 students who were members of Muslim student associations. Not necessarily the Muslim Students Association, but several of them. And they have divided their posts, and they put up all the posts so you get to read them. And again, you'll be sick to your stomach reading them. But they divide them into anti-Jewish or anti-Semitic, anti-black, anti-gay, and anti-Israel. So you can see what they say. And it's hard to believe that these are people going to our universities, and some of whom have graduated and are out working in banking and real estate, and this is how they're thinking. So there's a lot of work to do. In 2014, at a student senate event, 4 Jewish students who were trying to exercise their First Amendment rights to speak out at that event were arrested by the university police and charged in municipal court with offenses that could have brought them jail time. And the charges did not go forward because their lawyers got them dismissed finally because the city failed to give them a speedy trial, which is their constitutional right. But still, one of the students testified recently, a former student, he'd graduated, that he wasted a lot of time going to see his lawyer, going to court hearings, going here, going there, and now he's coming to tell his story about what happened, and this time it's of his own volition that he's spending time where he should be working, talking about this. So that is happening in Ohio as well. What we want to do in Ohio is educate people about what anti-Semitism is and what it does. What happened in the 1930s and 40s in Germany? Germany was endemically anti-Semitic to some extent. And what happened was when the Nazis came in, they used their propaganda, which, by the way, was Arab propaganda from the Middle East that the Nazis brought to Germany, updated, and when they lost the war, it went back to the Middle East. And this is the kind of propaganda being put out by the BDS groups on campus now. But what they did was they had a set of laws that basically disestablished the citizenship of the German Jewish citizens. They were not allowed to practice their professions. They could not be doctors. They could not be lawyers. They could not teach in the university. They could not teach in secondary education or primary education. And eventually, they could not go to university or public education as students. They were not allowed anymore, if they were shopkeepers, to have Christians as their clientele. They were boycotted. Their businesses were boycotted in Germany. Their businesses were finally taken away from them. Their right to bear arms was taken away from them. Their right to own property was taken away from them. Eventually, everything was taken away from them except the clothes on their back. And they put them on cattle cars and sent them to the death camps and the slave labor camps where that was stolen too, the clothes on their backs. So they became non-citizens and they became dehumanized in the eyes of the Germans. How do you get a civilized people like the Germans to murder 6 million people? You convince them that they're not murdering people, they're merely slaughtering subhumans. Why should you care about any of this? This is very important to understand. In Germany, what happened was this, and you can find this quotation, and I'm not going to get it perfectly right, but a German intellectual after the war said, well, you know, they came for the communists. The Nazis came for the communists. And I was not a communist, so I didn't do anything about it. Then they came for the socialists, but I wasn't a socialist, so I didn't much care about it. Then they came for the Catholics, but I'm not a Catholic, and it didn't matter to me. And then they came for the Jews, but I'm not a Jew, and it didn't matter to me. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to help me because they were all already gone. And the problem, the basic problem with what is going on our campuses, the physical intimidation, the shutting off of free speech by the Muslim student groups and in some cases by university administrations. When I was in Jerusalem one time a few years ago, I was in a little gift shop and there was a t-shirt on the wall, a white t-shirt and an F-16 fighter in the front with the Star of David on it, Israeli markings. And it said, "Don't worry, America, we have your back." Well, it's true. They have our back, and we need to continue having their back. And that's at the essence of House Continuing Resolution 10. I would urge you to go online and on the Ohio House website, find out the committee members who are hearing that bill, and giving them a call or sending them an email and telling them that you support a yes vote on HCR 10.